Greetings, Dr. Mark Winton here with the introduction to our criminal profiling course. I want to go over a few things from the first couple chapters that kind of introduce us to the field. First, what is criminal profiling? Basically, using the definition that Dr. Holmes and Holmes provide in their textbook, it provides specific information about the type of person who committed a specific crime, looking at their personality, their behavior, and some of their demographics. But really, I think what you want to do is ask yourself how this course can be one tool that you have among many when you're investigating and trying to understand violent criminal behavior. I think one of the problems that we've had with criminal profiling is related to the media depictions that you see these criminal profilers on television sometimes. Who knows what kind of background, training, experience they have, and they get on television and they say, well, this person has this type of psychiatric disorder and they suffer from this type of paraphilia, and that this must have happened in their childhood. And we have seen many times that on in immediate depictions, the so-called criminal profiler experts get it wrong, get it terribly wrong. And the whole point here is that this is, again, just one small piece of a larger puzzle. So this is a tool that you can use, but it's not the final answer. And profiling will give us some clues and ideas, but there are certainly limitations that we'll be discussing throughout the semester. So really, we'll have to integrate this material with your other course material. But what kind of crimes are more suitable for profiling, for example? And basically, some of the crimes that would be more suitable for profiling would be sexual torture cases, sexual homicides, cases involving mutilations and murder involving a great deal of slashing and stabbing. Also, cases of arson that don't appear to have a clear motive. Lust and mutilation murders, I already mentioned. Rape, occult and ritualistic crimes. Certain child sexual abuse crimes. Bank robberies. Anonymous obscene communications and stalking, and finally unusual crimes. And one of the features that I will mention at some point throughout the course are the difficulties in profiling unusual crimes, especially when you may not have previous information or material to go on. I've certainly had some cases before where I actually had no clue. And the cases were referred to me for analysis because no one else had a clue. And I think the best policy there is to explain to the referring agency that I'm, just as clueless as they are, and then work from there to try to get some answers. So we also have profiles that are used, for example, those that traffic in prostitution or drugs, those that engage in hijacking behavior or kidnapping, shoplifters. We have threat assessment tools that we use to try to predict or prevent school shootings, for example, or other acts of violence. And we have different techniques related to inductive or deductive profiling. With an inductive approach, really, we're kind of basing the idea that there's some specific crimes that are similar, and the offenders share some similar personality characteristics, and we need to understand how those cluster and go along, and that will help lead us to our answers. As opposed to the deductive profiling, which looks at the crime scene and then tries to put together a profile of the offender, which tends to take a lot more time, and also attempts to get really into the fantasy and thought process of the offender. Here we try to interpret the crime scene. Some of the goals in criminal profiling are to construct a social and psychological assessment of the offender, to construct a psychological or psychiatric assessment of mental health issues, and to provide interviewing ideas and strategies if there are suspects, and also to take a look at how we can integrate our criminal profiling tools with other techniques and strategies. There's a lot of criticisms that we need to address. There are many ideas and myths in criminal profiling, and some of these ideas have never been substantiated by research, and so that can be problematic. And really, I recommend that professionals work in teams to try to address some of these shortcomings. Sometimes I ask the class, if you think about people, are there certain people for some reason you trust or you don't trust? I mean, certain characteristics that right away you pick up on. Why would you trust someone or not trust, someone? So, think about that for a moment. Where do those ideas come from? We all have these kind of profiling ideas, I think we carry around. For example, if I go to a bank and I want to open an account, they start asking me all these personal questions. How do I know I can trust that person? Just because they work at a bank, or any other scenario as well? How, that trust. And in the second chapter, Profiling in Fantasy and Fact, really I think we get to the point where we see kind of these fictional cases and these bestsellers, and then how people begin to think about, well, is that accurate or not, or that someone watches on Dr. Phil or Oprah or Geraldo an interview, and then they kind of get the idea, well, every case must be like that, and that's very, very wrong. I think what you're going to find is, even though there's some common themes that may emerge, there is diversity and variety and complexity in the whole area of criminal profiling. And I'll wrap up this introduction by welcoming you to the course, and I hope that it will be informative and a positive learning experience. For those of you that are actually in the course and not just watching this on YouTube, please feel free to email me anytime, and usually I get back with you very rapidly, and we're all in this together to learn as much as we can. So welcome to the course, and I look forward to having some discussions with you online, and wish you the best. Thank you.